vampire hybrids knocking each other's heads off with a bunch of backstory included. This on that scale, I think it's really good.
Have we talked about how there seems to be let me take a step back. I've noticed in the last several years, I feel like there is this type of fan who doesn't understand like what a movie is trying to do, and they have outsized expectations for that film. And so it's to give you an example, they're all like, you see a summer blockbuster that costs $300 million. Then you're comparing that to a movie that costs $30 million. And they don't understand the difference there. It's like this movie wasn't trying to be, again, The Matrix, or was it trying to be a superhero movie? And it just sort of rubs me the wrong way. It's just like, just have a better understanding of what you're watching.
Yeah.
Or be more lenient. Like not everything can cost $300 million, and you wouldn't want everything to cost $300 million.
Expectations, I think, wreck a lot of films because I think the danger of expectations are you need a movie to fall into your box. And if a movie doesn't fall into your box, you don't like it. But you gotta learn how to fit yourself into that movie. I gotta get in the headspace of Underworld 2. Does that make sense? People don't want to get into that headspace and the expectations of, yeah, it's no Matrix. Wait, what? You watch a Scott Adkins movie and it's made on the cheap in 20 days to go internationally, direct to DVD. And then people are like, John Wick is better. And you're like, no, that's completely
not
different.
Comparable.
Yeah. Stop. Okay. Graded on a Scott Adkins scale. Like Michael Jai White does some brilliant direct-to-DVD films. Graded on the Michael Jai White direct-to-DVD scale. It's not Dark Knight. I don't know. I'm on a soapbox, and you got me, like, I don't care. I'm happy to be there.
Yeah, I've noticed it a lot. I'm getting a lot of, this movie's not as good as, I'm going to be really honest. It's usually, this movie's not as good as insert MCU movie. Insert superhero. And I'm just like, I don't care. I just want to enjoy this for what it is. Mm-hmm. We're going very far abreast.
All right, so how about
Underworld?
This? Yeah, let's take a quick break. We'll regroup, and then when we come back, we will talk more Underworld Evolution. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks, and we're going to talk about our favorite moments now, aren't we, David?
Yeah. Ooh. My favorite moment is the 3 prologues.
Yeah, there are. There's a lot. There's a recap.
Yeah. All right. So we will get to the favorite parts, but here's something that I think you will find funny. Marcus in the scroll at the beginning is spelled with a K. It's spelled with a C everywhere else in IMDb. It looks to be just like a mistake that someone made. You should go into Wikipedia and change the K to a C and see what Flame War starts. Because whoever wrote that synopsis used the K, and I bet someone has tried to change it to a C, and there's been huge fights.
Most people misspell Dr. Susan McAllister from Deep Blue Sea's name. And IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, Wikipedia, it's spelled differently all over the place. They keep getting no respect for the mix. Marcus, McAllister. What's going on here?
Okay, so let's do our 5 favorite parts of this movie. Before we jump in, I have 2 honorable mentions.
Okay.
If they're one of your parts, I'm sorry. Honorable mention number 1, paint throwing. Most memorable part of this movie, paint throwing.
7 minutes.
It's so much paint. And I get it, though, because this guy is coming from music videos, and it looks cool on screen. It just doesn't make any sense. Honorable mention number 2, the shipping container. I do not understand it at all. Why is it in a building? Why is it loaded to gill? Kind of like it because it's so weird.
Yeah.
Okay. What are my 5 favorite parts? Okay. Number 5 for me is when Marcus yanks the helicopter down by the rope.
Yes.
I had never seen something like that before, and I thought it was great.
Yeah. And that rope gets used a lot. I love that Speedman uses it. Then he sees it. It's a good Chekhov's rope.
I mean, Speedman's Michael's character, has a thing with ropes and chains. It's like his special ability. If there's a rope or a chain around, he's going to use it to kill you.
And he used a chain in this one to hang on to the truck as well.
Yeah, he's just really into chains. And I wish they would advance that storyline in the future.
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah. Do you want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. The final fight when Celine just takes Marcus's arm and chops off his arm. It's just such a boss move. I love it. she manhandles him, and then just plump, his arm goes off. And the look on Marcus's face is like, wow, I'm out of my league here. Then he cheap shots her with the thing. But I just love watching Celine manhandle people. It makes me so happy. So that's my number 1.
Yeah, that's great.
Or number 5.
Or number 5. Okay, now my number 4 is Celine wrecking Tanis's vampire gals.
Yeah.
She just walks in and those vampire women look like they're gonna like really wreck some shit, and she's like, no. It's over immediately.
Oh man, this smashes their heads and knocks them out. It's beautiful. Oh, that makes me so happy. I guess my number 4 is when she jumps from when she lands down into the final battle and she's in the water and she puts her head up. It's an ultimate trailer moment. She looks awesome right there. When she lands in the water, puts her head up. Like they filmed, like you could tell Len Wiseman just was like, get the best. I mean, it's not hard, but he's like, get the best shot of her imaginable. And he talks a lot about lenses in the commentary, which I adore. I love this talk about using different lenses. It made me so happy. But that superhero shot of her just landing in the water and then looking up, lit really cool. It's a good shot. So I'm going to say that.
He does have a really strong aesthetic. Like
Yeah.
He knows what he's trying to get. This movie feels like it was a lot of splash pages strung together. Of like Celine jumping, Celine landing. There's so many splash pages.
I love that you said that. Sorry to jump on you there, but he came from a prop world, and so he drew everything out. Then he gave it to Patrick Tatopoulos to make better, but he drew everything for this movie.
Wow.
He did. I mean, the guy's an artist, and he also he told a funny story where he does props. He was a prop guy for a long time, and he actually drew his name onto the chalkboard on Stargate. So if you watch Stargate, you will see the Len Wiseman name up on the chalkboard, and then in Godzilla you can see his name in a gigantic thing in the background. You can see Wiseman on there as well. So I thought you might like that fact. But you explained it perfectly because he wanted to make it like a graphic novel comic book, and they did.
That's amazing. Yeah. So my number 3, I really love that there's more gore in this movie than the first one, and it's super gnarly gore too. Like multiple head rips, people getting their arms cut off, exploded, like really, really into it.
Oh yeah, there's so many. Craven, I love seeing Craven get wiped out. That made me so happy, David, just watching him get smashed.
We didn't say this, but like it's really rare to have all the characters in the first movie show up in the second movie, even the ones who are dead. Like all the main characters just like have brief little moments throughout this entire film.
All right, so my number 3 is just seeing Bill Nighy in a helmet, looking awesome in a helmet. I mean, he looks
awesome.
Incredible in this scene. I mean, I love it seeing him cruise around in a helmet. That makes me so happy. So that's what I'm saying is my number 3.
He's the character I missed the most, Mark. Like I know he was in this film, but I wanted so much more of Bill Nighy.
His presence is undeniable. He's so good.
Okay. My number 2 is Tanis, and here's why. I think it's really funny that they're like, we're gonna go see a historian, and the dude's like a new metal historian. It's like the juxtaposition is wild. You're thinking there's gonna be like a monk dude, and he's like playing metal and has some women over, and he's got drugs. It's just like, what?
Yeah, he's an arms dealer, and he's he's living the dream in his seclusion. He's loving his life. Oh yeah, that makes me happy. I mean, yeah, it definitely plays. I love it. My number 2 is when Michael rips off William's head. It's just, I was thinking about how strong he was to keep that jaw from closing, and then it's gory. It is R-rated, beautiful gore ripping that head off. So that's it. That's my number. Yeah.
Number 1 for me is Marcus's look. I really dig the creature design.
Beautiful.
Really interesting. It reminded me a little bit of Jeepers Creepers, but to be honest, I haven't seen that movie since it came out in the theater, so like I don't quite remember. But I was just really, really into the design and how much it changed and how you would take damage and heal. Really loved it.
Yeah, so perfect. And then I guess speaking of Marcus, my number 1 is when just Celine rips his claw in half while it's in her, and then she just murders him with a knife through his head and throws him into the helicopter blades that he pulled down. It just makes me... I love when she gets boss level in this movie. When she goes boss level and just watching Marcus punk out to her, it makes me so happy. Because you never get a lady going boss level, and she goes boss level. And it makes me so happy. And I also thought that scene was really well filmed. This guy, the cinematographer, Simon Duggan, he went on to do Live Free or Die Hard, which I think... Actually, it made a ton of money, and it's very fresh. I think it's 78 or 80%. beautiful action movie. He also shot Knowing, which I think looks great. And he did Great Gatsby with Baz Luhrmann, so you know he's legit. 300 Rise of an Empire, which I think is very underrated. Love that movie. And then he also did Warcraft, which I enjoy. But my number one is
I like Warcraft.
it's unabashedly dorky, and I love it. Right? It's beautiful. I dig it.
I went and saw that by myself.
Nice.
I couldn't get anyone to go with me. I was like, I'm gonna.
Oh man. Yeah, so that's my number one. Just watching her go boss mode and wipe people out.
Yeah. So I have a surprise game for you.
Oh, I like it.
Before we do that, I have one question for you. Maybe we've talked about this previously, but the mythos behind this movie and this series is that there's immortals, and if they were bit by an animal, they turn into a hybrid of that animal.
Yeah.
So why aren't they like mosquito people?
Oh my gosh, that'd be terrifying.
It would.
That'd be worse than a vampire.
Yeah. Here's what I think would be hilarious if one of them got bitten by a raccoon, and then you got instead of a werewolf, you have just giant raccoons running around. Oh, I would love that.
You know how smart they are, and they have the opposable thumbs. They're like, I would hate to fight. I gotta say, I just want to get this out there for the world. I love possums. I think that possums they eat fleas and ticks. They are trying to do their best in a world where deforestation is constantly happening. But there's a really crappy thing about them is that people say that they have rabies and that they're mean creatures. That's not true. I was watching Mitchells versus the Machines. And in that movie, you have possums attacking the dad, and they suggested that possums had rabies. And I just got to get that out there real quick. They don't. And of this big Netflix movie, these are amazing creatures that eat fleas and ticks, and they're adorable, and they live outside, and they're really friendly, and I have a couple in my backyard. So I hate that Mitchells and Machines went off against possums. They put false information out there that hurts these creatures because they're treated as pests and they're killed. They're like, you leave opening in your home, it gets in, and you're like, kill it. No, that's your mistake. Like, make sure that it can't get in your attic. Sorry, I'll go somewhere else.
No, it's okay.
It's okay. I love Mitchells, but that scene didn't make me happy. I got to get it out there. Thanks for letting me vent. That makes me happy.
So this is a game. I don't know how to respond to that.
I'm telling you, but it's irresponsible. It's very irresponsible.
Were raccoons was my bit. I want to make sure we get some were raccoons in the future.
They'd be horrifying. So smart.
They have to wash their victims before.
It would be like Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah. Okay. Surprise game, Mark. This is a game that I am calling Would It Be Better with a Werewolf? And the idea is I'm going to give you a vampire movie, and you tell me, would it be better if the vampire was substituted with a werewolf?
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Number one, right off the bat, everyone knows this is coming. Bram Stoker's Dracula. If Dracula was a werewolf, would it be better?
He does turn into a wolf. But he's not a werewolf. I would not a vampire because the mood is so drenched on. Because that would be once every 30 days. So you could be normal Gary Oldman. With this movie, though, his creepiness and his lust for blood and his shadow and his brides. I think that there's a really crazy werewolf scene in that too. But it's not wolf scene. But I like what you're thinking. But I think the creepiness comes from being a vampire. So I'm going to say vampire.
Yeah, I think that's the right call on that one, just the movie. Okay, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It would be Buffy the Werewolf Slayer.
That could work just as well. I mean,
I think so too.
Every full moon, it happens. So you could have a full werewolf attack on prom that happens to be a full moon, right? So yeah, I think that'd be fun. That'd be just as good, I think, with werewolves. So I'll Buffy the Werewolf Killer.
Yeah, let's make werewolves the pinnacle of the vampire or the preternatural species.
It works, right? You could swap them out and have it work.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I love that.
Okay, Nosferatu.
Oof. I mean, Max Schreck as a I think also you couldn't have. I think Shadow of a Vampire. It would be Shadow of a Werewolf with John Malkovich, Willem Dafoe. I think the creepiness stems from the vampire and just Max Schreck's inhuman look, his rat-like look in that. As a werewolf, I think he would look more normal. Once every 30 days, lock himself up. So I'm sticking with vampires for Nosferatu.
Yeah, I agree with on that one. Okay, Fright Night.
Yeah, that could be a werewolf too, because it would be a kid who loves horror movies, and then his neighbor becomes a werewolf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as interesting.
Yeah.
Last one. This one's going to be harder. 30 Days of Night.
Let's see. 30 Days of Night. The highlight of 30 Days of Night. I love the cinematography. The production design by Paul Austerberry, who won an Academy Award for Shape of Things, is beautiful. I just love Danny Houston's villain in that. He is so mean. He's like, God, what God? And playing the record with his finger.